Hello everybody, this is Slime Time and today this is my Christmas episode. I hope you enjoy watching it. Christmas happens in December with most of the month themed around the special day. You pretty much spend a twelfth of your life surrounded by trees, tinsel and other bits of tat. We all have our own traditions. In the UK, most of the Christmas activity happens on the 25th of December, where people open gifts, eat Christmas dinner, then just sort of sit about all day. In other countries in Europe, a lot of this activity happens on the 24th of December instead, whilst Orthodox Christians celebrate in early January. But where did all this begin? Well, about 2,000 years ago, people were more attuned to the changing of the seasons. We had thousands of years to understand the passage of time by looking at the stars as they marked the changing of the seasons, when to sow and when to harvest. The winter solstice is the longest night in the calendar and marked the end and beginning of the solar year. This time was celebrated with a holiday called Yule. People would bring a log, the Yule log, to burn as they had a feast, told ghost stories, and made sacrifices to gods. These people had a strong connection to the land around them and the cyclic nature of things. They made rings out of evergreen plants like holly and mistletoe, to symbolise the permanent nature of this cycle that could resemble the modern-day Christmas wreath. It was a time to celebrate the passage of time. Like with all history, it can be difficult to trace what actually happened on what people believed. The United Kingdom was, and remains, a land of many different cultures. In the late Iron Age, these beliefs are referred to as pagan, although this covers a wide range of beliefs across the area, from worshipping the Norse gods to the ancient Druidic cults that worship the sun and forests. It's thought that Stonehenge is strongly connected to winter solstice celebrations as it aligns where the sun would set on winter solstice, although it was built thousands of years before we adopted traditions like Yule. It's likely we incorporated elements of that festival into our culture when Vikings came from Scandinavia in the 9th century, which was long after the Roman invasion of Britain. Whilst areas in North Europe celebrated Yule during the winter solstice, the Romans had their own festival called Saturnalia. It took place during December. It was a time to celebrate the end of the autumnal sowing period. Saturn was the Roman god of agriculture, and the festival takes its name from him. He's similar to the Greek Titan called Cronus, a patron of the harvest season, often depicted with a sickle, and adopted into the Roman pantheon after Greece was invaded by Rome. During Saturnalia, work was suspended in favour of eating, drinking, and generally having a good time. All social norms were inverted. Nobody worked, people got drunk and laid about, men dressed as women, women dressed as men, and slaves were allowed to eat and drink with their masters. The Romans also adopted the tradition of giving gifts from Greece, giving each other little bits and pieces. Pleasure was the primary purpose of the festival, which was enjoyed in Rome and later on across its empire. I think the aspect of slaves being given the same status as freemen is interesting. Ancient Rome enslaved people through different means, with one aspect being through war and conquest. As the Romans were invading areas all across Europe, the people enslaved would have brought their cultures and traditions with them. So during the period of Saturnalia, we could guess that aspects of winter solstice festivals, like Yule, were practiced in ancient Rome. From the different Greek influences, we know that Rome happily adopted aspects of our cultures, so we could imagine a hybridization of the solstice festival that incorporated elements from different countries at the time. One of the more significant things to be adopted by Rome was a Middle Eastern religion called Christianity. It spread across the Mediterranean by the apostles and Christian missionaries, as well as being practiced by people enslaved by the Roman Empire. Though in the Bible the Romans are responsible for crucifying Jesus as well as executing many Christians, they'd adopted Christianity as their state religion just 380 years after the birth of Jesus. Saturnalia didn't happen on the 25th of December though. It changed in length over the centuries, from a few days to a week and so on, but more or less happened between the 17th and 22nd. But also early Christians didn't really know or care when Jesus was born, but they calculated the date of the 25th at a similar time that Rome adopted Christianity. I've read bits and pieces that are against the idea that Christmas and Saturnalia are connected somehow, and that much of what we associate with Christmas is much more recent, and a lot of these sorts of connections are common misconceptions. But I don't think it's coincidental that much of what we do at Christmas happened across Europe in December way back when. The Roman Empire had become Christian, and its seat of power moved away from the Mediterranean into Central Europe, especially in the area now known as Germany. The Renaissance, around the 15th century, also had an interest in the classical period, so we could suppose other scholars 500 years ago would have been doing the equivalent of this video back then. There's references to Christmas in literature like Twelfth Night by Shakespeare and A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. The latter has had a big influence on modern Christmas pop culture, the story about redemption, passage of time, and ghosts. Throughout the 20th century, many films were made about the holiday, especially around the theme of the true spirit of Christmas. But what is the true spirit of Christmas? Depending on your own traditions and beliefs, it might be a time to celebrate the birth of Jesus. Or it might be more about coming together with family and friends and appreciating the connections we have around us. Though not everyone has family and friends, and with so much emphasis placed on the aspect of togetherness, Christmas can be incredibly lonely for some people, and for others it can be really stressful in terms of finances, or the extra domestic work involved in decorating, preparing meals and hosting. It can be a bit of a faff. So I think the true spirit of Christmas lurks in its origins. We can see how different societies adopted the tradition from others, a sort of occultural appropriation, if you will. It's a mutant festival combined from dozens of different cultures based around the winter solstice. In fact, it's almost cosmic in nature, relating to how our planet rotates around a star out in the void of space, as we all just try and get through this thing we call life. Anyway, Merry Christmas. So, what a food for thought there. Are there any other cultures that are similar to ancient Rome that exist nowadays, in terms of maybe colonising other cultures and appropriating all of their stuff? Maybe we could see the similar elements in marketing companies using working class slang, or just general taking bits and bats from elsewhere and then using it to sell stuff. So anyway, some food for thought, some Christmas themes there. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching the video.